I've sat across the table from hundreds of people chasing the next big thing and watched almost all of them lose money doing it. In 15 years of studying what actually builds lasting wealth, I've noticed something almost nobody wants to hear. The boring businesses win, quietly, every single time. Today, I'm going to show you exactly which 20 of them do it, and why. While you were asleep last night, a laundromat in Ohio made about $500. A vending machine in a hospital hallway sold 70 bags of chips. And a single ATM bolted to the wall of a gas station collected a $2.50 fee 40 separate times from 40 separate strangers who never once thought about who actually owns that machine. Nobody clocked in. Nobody answered emails. Nobody posted a TikTok about grinding 5 a.m. The money just showed up. That's the entire premise of this video. We're not talking about crypto. We're not talking about a revolutionary app. We're talking about 20 genuinely boring businesses, the kind you drive past every single day without a second glance, that quietly generate real, documented income with shockingly little day-to-day involvement from the owner. Here's why boring wins. According to laundromat industry data, coin laundries have a survival rate of roughly 95% over their first 5 years. Compare that to the well-known stat that about 20% of all new businesses fail in year 1 alone, and nearly half are gone within 5 years. Restaurants, trendy retail concepts, app startups, most of them die. Laundromats, vending routes, and storage facilities mostly don't. Why? 3 reasons. First, these businesses solve permanent, boring human problems. Dirty clothes, the need for cash, the need for space, the need for a quick snack. Second, most of them don't compete on hype. They compete on location and reliability, which means once you win a good spot, you tend to keep it. Third, and this is the real secret, most of them can be semi-automated. You're not trading hours for dollars. You're trading upfront capital and occasional maintenance visits for a slice of thousands of small transactions happening whether you're awake or not. That's what passive income actually means in the real world. It is never truly zero effort. Anyone who tells you that is selling a course. But it is decoupled effort. You might spend 4 hours a week managing a vending route that pulls in $1,500 a month. That is not the same as working 4 hours for $1,500. It compounds, it scales, and it doesn't ask for a raise. In the next 20-some minutes, I'm going to walk you through 20 of these businesses, one at a time, what they actually cost to start, based on real industry data, what kind of profit margins owners actually report, and the specific reason each one can run without you standing over it. Stick around to the end, because number 1 is the one almost nobody talks about, and it might be the single best ratio of low effort to high return on this entire list. Let's get into it. Number 20. Coin-operated laundromats. We'll start with the business on the thumbnail itself. The laundromat. Here's how it works. You lease or buy a commercial space, install rows of coin or app-operated washers and dryers, and customers pay per load. Industry data pegs total startup costs between $200,000 and $500,000, mostly swallowed by the machines themselves, which run anywhere from $60,000 to over $300,000 depending on how many units you install. Here's why it works without you. Once the plumbing, electrical, and machines are installed, a laundromat needs almost no staff. Many owners run theirs with 0 full-time employees, just a weekly visit to collect cash, restock soap machines, and check for broken units. Industry reports consistently show net profit margins in the 20 to 35% range, with well-run stores clearing $15,000 to $30,000 a month in revenue. Practical first step. Don't build from scratch. Look for an existing laundromat for sale in a dense rental neighborhood. 87% of laundromat customers live within a mile of the store, so location is everything. Buying an established one with existing foot traffic dramatically cuts your risk compared to opening cold. Number 19. Vending machine routes. Vending is the classic, boring business starter kit, and for good reason, A single combo snack and drink machine costs between $3,000 and $6,000 new, or far less used. Net profit margins typically sit between 20 and 30%, and a well-placed machine nets somewhere between $40 and a few $100s a month, according to operator data compiled by vending industry trackers. The works without you part is obvious. You're not standing there taking orders. You stock it once every week or two, and the machine does the selling 24 hours a day. The real skill isn't the machine. It's the location. Route operators consistently say that walking into a business in person and asking the manager directly outperforms cold calls by a wide margin. Realistic path: start with 2 or 3 machines, place them in break rooms, laundromats, or auto shops, and reinvest the profit into machine 4, 5, and 6. Operators who scale to 20 or more machines commonly report between $2,000 and $6,000 a month in combined net profit. Number 18. ATM ownership. Every time someone pulls cash from a machine that isn't attached to a bank, somebody like you is collecting a fee, usually between $2.50 and $4 per withdrawal. A new machine costs $2,000 to $6,000, plus a few thousand more in loaded cash reserves, putting total startup investment around $6,000 to $10,000 for your first unit. According to industry breakdowns, an ATM processing 200 to 300 transactions a month at a $3 surcharge nets an owner somewhere between $200 and $700 monthly after processing fees and the location's revenue share. High-traffic spots, bars, nightclubs, casinos can push that past $1,000. It works without you because the only regular task is refilling the cash cassette, something many owners outsource to an armored cash loading service entirely. Start by approaching cash-heavy businesses without an existing ATM. Bars open late, convenience stores, laundromats, and offer a placement agreement with a revenue split, typically 20 to 35% to the location. Number 17. Bitcoin ATMs. Same concept as a cash ATM, different product. A Bitcoin ATM lets customers buy or sell cryptocurrency for cash on the spot, and the operator earns the difference through a buy-sell spread, typically 6 to 10%, plus a flat surcharge fee. Kiosks cost around $3,500 to $12,000 depending on features. Industry data suggests a well-placed crypto ATM nets $600 to $1,200 a month after transaction fees, cash handling, and compliance costs, with payback periods of 12 to 18 months. This is a slightly more regulated business. You'll typically register as a money services business with the federal government. But once that paperwork is done, the day-to-day is nearly identical to a cash ATM. Refill it, monitor it remotely, done. Number 16. Self-storage facilities. Self-storage is the boring business that institutional investors love, and the margins explain why. Multiple industry sources put average profit margins at around 40%, with well-run facilities exceeding 50%, some of the highest margins in all of commercial real estate. That said, this one isn't cheap to start. Building a facility from scratch commonly runs $1.5 to $2.5 million, though converting an existing warehouse or buying a small existing facility can bring that number down dramatically. Why it works without you? Unlike an apartment building, storage tenants don't call at midnight about a broken faucet. Many facilities run with automated gate access, remote video monitoring, and online billing. Some operate with a single part-time manager, or none at all. If the full price entry feels out of reach, start smaller. A modest facility on inherited or rural land, or a partnership with other investors, is how many owners get their first foothold before scaling to a bigger property. Number 15. Car washes, self-serve, and automatic. Self-serve car washes are essentially vending machines for cleaning your car. You build a few coin or app-operated bays, and customers do all the work. Startup costs for a small self-serve facility typically range from $250,000 to $600,000, depending on the number of bays and land cost, while full automatic tunnel washes cost significantly more but generate far higher per-car revenue. The appeal here is the same as storage. No employees required for the self-serve model. You're managing equipment, not people. Owners typically report operating margins in the 20 to 40% range once the loan is paid down, with revenue driven almost entirely by traffic count and local car wash pricing. The unlock is picking a highway-adjacent or high-traffic suburban lot. Location dictates almost everything here, just like a laundromat. Number 14. Dumpster rental businesses. Here's an unglamorous one that quietly prints money. Renting roll-off dumpsters to homeowners and contractors doing renovation or clean-out projects. You buy a handful of dumpsters, typically $800 to $5,000 per used unit, plus a truck capable of hauling them, and rent them out for a flat weekly fee, usually $300 to $600 per rental depending on your market. Once you own the equipment outright, ongoing costs are mostly fuel, truck maintenance, and dump fees, which is why operators frequently report gross margins north of 50% per rental. The sleep factor comes from the business model itself. Bookings mostly happen online or by phone. You drop the dumpster off and you don't see the customer again until pickup day. Number 13. Billboard and outdoor ad space. If you own, or can lease rights to, a piece of land next to a busy road, you can put up a billboard and rent the ad space to local businesses for a monthly fee, often ranging from $250 for a small static sign in a rural market to over $10,000 a month for a big digital board in a major city. A basic static billboard structure costs somewhere between $5,000 and $18,000 to install, according to outdoor advertising industry estimates, with digital boards costing considerably more but commanding 2 to 3 times the rental income because they can rotate multiple advertisers. Once installed, a billboard requires essentially zero daily attention. You're collecting a monthly or annual lease check from an advertiser with maybe a yearly maintenance check on the structure. The hard part is up front. Securing a location with strong traffic counts and the right permits, since most municipalities heavily regulate new billboard construction. Number 12. Parking lot and space rental. If you own an underused lot near a stadium, downtown office district, or airport, you can turn bare asphalt into recurring income by renting spaces by the hour, day, or month through an app-based system or a simple pay kiosk. Setup costs are relatively low compared to most items on this list, often just striping, signage, and a payment kiosk, which can run a few thousand to $20,000 depending on lot size. This works without you almost entirely once it's set up. App-based parking platforms handle payment processing and even customer support while you collect a monthly payout. Owners near major event venues or airports report some of the strongest returns per square foot of any real estate use, since a single event day parking lot can out-earn a month of normal retail rent. Number 11. Ice vending machines. Ice vending machines are a niche but surprisingly resilient business, especially in warmer climates. A commercial ice vending kiosk that produces and bags ice on site typically costs between $40,000 and $100,000 installed, but it requires almost no restocking labor. It manufactures its own ice from a water line and sells it 24 hours a day through a card reader. Operators in hot weather markets, think Texas, Florida, the Southwest, commonly report gross margins above 60% once the machine is paid off, since the main ongoing costs are just water, electricity, and periodic maintenance. The trade-off is a longer payback period than a vending machine, but once it's running, an ice machine genuinely does sell itself around the clock. Number 10. Water vending and refill stations. Similar logic to ice vending, but for purified drinking water. These self-serve kiosks filter tap water on site and dispense it by the gallon for a quarter or two, commonly installed outside grocery stores and laundromats. Machines typically cost between $5,000 and $15,000 installed, making this one of the more affordable set-it-and-forget-it options on this list. Because the machine filters its own water supply, restocking isn't really a factor. Your main job is periodic filter changes and emptying the coin box. In areas with hard or poor-tasting tap water, operators report steady, repeat local usage, since customers often return weekly to refill the same jugs. Number 9. Propane exchange stations. You've swapped a propane tank at one of these yellow cages outside a grocery store or gas station without ever thinking about who owns it. Typically, national propane exchange companies handle the supply chain, and you're simply hosting the cage on your property or, in some independent operator models, purchasing a route of cages and tanks to manage refill logistics for. For a location host, this is about as passive as it gets. You provide the space, the company restocks it, and you collect a small monthly host fee or commission per exchange. For an independent operator running their own exchange route, margins come from the spread between wholesale propane refill cost and the retail exchange price, with most of the work being periodic tank swaps rather than daily attention. Number 8. Cell tower and land leasing. If you own land, even a small unused corner of a larger property, telecom companies will often pay to lease a small footprint for a cell tower, sometimes for decades at a time. Lease payments vary enormously by market and tower type, ranging from a few $100s a month in rural areas to several $1,000s monthly in markets with heavy carrier competition. This is about as close to true passive income as this entire list gets. Once the lease is signed and the tower is built, the landowner does nothing except collect a check, typically with built-in annual rent escalations. The catch is that you need land in a spot carriers actually want, and negotiating lease terms, especially escalation clauses and buyout offers from tower leasing companies, benefits enormously from working with a specialized land lease attorney or broker before signing anything. Number 7. Solar farmland leasing. Similar model to cell tower leasing, but for solar developers. Landowners with open acreage, particularly land near existing power infrastructure, can lease it to solar companies for 25 to 40-year terms. Reported lease rates in the renewable energy sector commonly range from a few hundred to over $1,000 per acre annually, depending on region and grid proximity, though these figures vary widely by state and utility demand. Once signed, the solar developer handles construction, maintenance, and operation of the panels entirely. The landowner's involvement drops to essentially zero beyond collecting the lease payment. The trade-off is a very long commitment and a lengthy approval process, so this is a boring business built for patient capital, not quick returns. Number 6. RV and boat storage lots. A simpler, cheaper cousin of full self-storage. Instead of building climate-controlled indoor units, you fence and pave an open lot and rent spaces for RVs, boats, and trailers that don't fit in a homeowner's driveway or standard storage unit. Because there's no building construction involved, startup costs can be a fraction of a traditional facility, sometimes well under $200,000 for land, fencing, gravel or asphalt, and security cameras. Just like traditional self-storage, tenants rarely need anything from you beyond a working gate code. So many owners run these lots with no on-site staff, just remote camera monitoring and an online payment portal. Demand tends to be strongest in areas with lots of recreational vehicle owners and restrictive homeowners association rules about parking them at home. Number 5. Vending lockers and smart locker rentals. Smart parcel lockers, the kind you now see in apartment lobbies and college dorms, are essentially vending machines for package delivery and pickup. An operator installs a bank of app-controlled lockers and either charges residents a monthly access fee, charges delivery companies a per-package fee, or rents the units to the property itself as an amenity upgrade. Installation costs vary by size, typically running from the low thousands for a small unit to tens of thousands for a full apartment complex system. But once installed, the lockers run through app-based access with essentially no daily staffing. This is a newer, faster-growing category than most on this list, riding the continued growth of e-commerce delivery volume. Number 4. Coin-operated car vacuum and air stations. A much smaller cousin of the car wash, standalone vacuum and air and tire inflation stations installed at gas stations or in shopping center parking lots. A basic multi-bay vacuum unit typically costs somewhere in the low tens of thousands of dollars installed, considerably less than a full car wash, making it a common add-on for gas station owners rather than a standalone venture for most operators. The appeal is low maintenance, Emptying the canisters occasionally and fixing the odd hose or motor is the extent of the labor, while quarters or card payments come in around the clock. It rarely makes anyone rich on its own, but as a low-cost addition to an already owned property, it's close to pure incremental profit. Number 3. Turnkey rental real estate with professional property management. Owning rental property isn't automated the way a vending machine is, but hiring a property management company to handle tenant screening, rent collection, maintenance calls, and evictions gets you remarkably close. Management companies typically charge 8 to 10% of monthly rent, sometimes plus a leasing fee, in exchange for handling essentially everything except owning the asset and financing it. The reason this earns a spot on this list: a huge number of long-distance or hands-off landlords never see their properties, never talk to tenants, and simply receive a monthly net rent deposit and an annual report. Realistic net returns after mortgage, taxes, insurance, and management fees vary enormously by market, but investors commonly target properties where rent covers all expenses with a meaningful margin left over, known as positive cash flow. Number 2. Claw machines and arcade redemption games. Claw machines and small arcade redemption games are a favorite of route vending operators because the margins on the prizes themselves are enormous. Plush toys purchased in bulk often cost operators well under $1 apiece, while a single play commonly runs $1 to $2. A single used claw machine can be acquired for a few $1,000s, making it one of the cheaper entry points on this entire list. Placement is everything here. Laundromats, family entertainment centers, movie theaters, and grocery store entrances are classic spots, and once installed, the operator's only regular task is restocking prizes and emptying the coin box every week or two. It's a small, simple slice of the broader vending world, but operators who build a route of 10 or more machines across several venues report it adds up to meaningful supplemental income with very little weekly time investment. And here's number 1, the one almost nobody talks about, sitting at the very top of this list: vending machine micro-markets, the smart, cashless mini convenience stores. A micro-market is the evolution of the vending machine. Instead of coils and buttons, it's an open-shelf glass-door mini convenience store installed in an office break room with self-checkout kiosks and security cameras instead of a cashier. Because customers can browse and buy anything from salads to phone chargers, average transaction values are far higher than a traditional vending machine. According to operator interviews compiled by vending industry sources, a single well-placed micro-market in a mid-size office or apartment complex can generate revenue many multiples higher than a standalone snack machine in the same location, with one operator reporting a single high-traffic micro-market grossing over $20,000 in a single month. Startup costs are higher than a basic vending machine, generally ranging from $10,000 to $25,000 per installation for the cooler cases, shelving, and self-checkout kiosk. But the labor model is nearly identical to a vending route. You restock every few days, and the self-checkout technology handles sales, loss prevention, and payment processing without you present. If you're only going to seriously research one business from this entire list, this is the one with the strongest case for scaling quickly with a modest number of locations. 20 businesses: laundromats, vending, ATMs, storage, car washes, dumpster rentals, billboards, parking, ice, water, propane, cell towers, solar, RV lots, smart lockers, coin vacuums, rental real estate, claw machines, and micro-markets. Different price tags, different industries, but every single one shares the same underlying formula: solve a permanent, unglamorous human need and structure the business so the transaction can happen without you physically present for it. None of these are get-rich-quick. The laundromat, with a 95% 5-year survival rate, still took someone's $200,000 and 3 to 5 years to fully pay back. The vending route that nets $6,000 a month started with one machine and a lot of in-person pitching to gas station managers. Every one of these numbers I gave you is a realistic industry range. Not a guarantee. Location, execution, and management still separate the owners who thrive from the ones who quietly fail. So here's your actual first step, right now, today. Don't try to build all 20. Pick the one that matches the capital you actually have sitting in a savings account and go research it for real. Call an equipment supplier, look up an existing business for sale in your area, or just walk into 3 local businesses this week and ask if they'd host a vending machine or an ATM. That single conversation is worth more than another hour of watching business videos. If this video gave you a genuinely useful starting point, do me one favor. Hit that like button. It tells YouTube to put this in front of more people who need to hear it. Drop a comment telling me which one of these 20 you're most seriously considering. I read every single one, and I'll pull the most requested business for a full deep dive video next. And if you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe, because we're just getting started on boring businesses that actually work. Thanks for watching. Now go build something that works even while you're asleep.